PCL Week 3 is officially underway right now. I'm not going to waste you guys' time. We are going to get straight into this. The first matchup of today is Pirate versus Zeezy. This is going to be a good one, y'all. This is going to be a real good one. And then after this, we got Gifted versus the wild card John D. Might I say upset alert? Maybe. And then last but not least, the third matchup of the day, we got a heavyweight matchup. We got two sluggers, two dudes who know what they really talking about, and two dudes who love to debate. I got Swipa in the left corner, and I got Pin in the right corner. That's going to be a hell of a matchup, the third matchup of the day. But as of right now, let me go ahead and bring these first two contestants up. But before I do that, let me get this out early. Like the video, comment, subscribe, and become a member. And if you don't know what the PCL is, it's an NBA debate league with 16 of the best debaters on the planet, all in one room for a big cash prize and a PCL belt, and ultimately bragging rights for who's the best basketball debater on this planet. So let's get into it. I got my man Pirate with me. Pirate?
Yeah, can you see me or hear me? I can't see you.
You back at C?
Can you see me? I can't.
You back on the
I
water?
can't see you.
Nah, Pirate, your service out there in the Atlantic Ocean ain't really doing you too well right now.
All right, hold on. Let me just reset this thing real quick.
Man, Pirate, I keep trying to tell Pirate, like, park your ship and come on land and just stay here. But you want to go out there and do all that extra shit and chase treasures and whatnot. I'm like, Pirate, you just packed up Mars. You don't need to do any of that anymore. You about to get $1,000. But anyways, I got my dog Zeezy with me. What's up? What's
good, Ron? What's good, chat? WPCL. Hope everybody had a good weekend.
Facts. All right. While we waiting for Pirate to tap in, he is up here right now. His screen's up here, but I don't know if he's up here. But while we're waiting for him to tap in, these are our three topics for the day. We got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Shaquille O'Neal. Who's the better center? That should be a good one. Then the second one, we got the Timberwolves and the Thunder. Who will win an NBA championship first? And then last but not least, we got Tyrese Haliburton and De'Aaron Fox. Which point guard would you rather build your team around? All right, Pirate, you good? You here?
Shit, man. Hold up.
If your screen's black, it's okay. You deserve to have a black screen after you blacked Mars' eyes out last week.
Oh, right. Hold up, man. Hold up. All right. Yeah. Just give me 60 seconds real quick.
All right. Can you still hear me?
Talk about something funny. Hold up.
Talk about something funny. I guess the funniest thing I could mention that's happened in the last week was
the fact that you got the same exact amount of minutes for Team USA as Tyrese Haliburton.
Yo, Zeezy, you didn't have to do that. Leave Hallie out of this.
I'm sorry. I love Hallie. I love Hallie, but I will say Hallie is a really good sport for saying when you do nothing but get it. Yeah. I was like, all right, bro. Yeah. All
right, so Zeezy, I'm gonna have you go first. Pirates are gonna go second. I guess due to technical difficulties, that would probably be the best thing to do. We still got people filing in here, so when you come in here, make sure you like the video. We got a good ass first debate on our hands. Zeezy, did you do any extra homework for Pirate?
Any extra homework for Pirate?
Yeah.
Pirate, I fuck with Pirate. I told you I came on after him versus Mars, and that second round still haunting me to this day, but Pirate did what he needed to do. Pirate did what he needed to do.
So, you know what's wild, Zeezy?
What's that?
I'll never look at Magic Johnson the same.
No. Facts.
All because of Pirate.
Pirate let his intrusive thoughts win, but I mean, he just.
That's one of my favorite players of all time. Well, was one of my favorite players of all time. Y'all don't get at me. I've reconsidered everything. I don't know. I don't know if I even like Magic anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like literally actual Magic. I don't know if I even like David Blaine anymore.
Bro.
We waiting for Pirate to tap back in. So I guess as of right now, Zeezy, what me and you would do is we'll talk about some of the other battles, and you kind of chime in with me, and you let me know how you feel about these other battles and some of their topics as well. We got Gifted versus John D. Are you hit the John D?
I watched the John D and Penn's battle last week, and
Yeah.
John D impressed me for sure. I'm a fan of his game, but Gifted my boy, so I got to rock with Gifted on this one. But it should be a good one. Gifted know his shit, but John D he surprised me in his first one last week. So
I'm glad we found John D. And to everybody that doesn't know, we have a couple different wild cards in this whole thing. So of the 16 contestants, we went and found 2 people like you guys that are in the chat that like PC, that wanted to join the PCL league. And one of them was John D. The other one was MTL. And they both have came and been solid. They both have been all right. John D acting like he here to stay.
Yeah, as he should.
All right, I think we might be good with Pirate, but until he's fully ready, our next battle that we got is Swipa and Penn. How you feeling about that?
That's the main. Hey, where's Swipa from? I need to know. I ain't gonna lie to you. Look, I ain't gonna lie. When I woke up to that shit, bro, I had to do a double take. I was like, does that tweet say Swipa? And I was like, I tuned into the panel immediately that day to see, bro. That was funny. I
couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it either. KD, for KD's probably the most polarizing player to talk about on Player's Choice. But let me watch my mouth for KD tweeting me next. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
man's flowers.
He done already got it a couple people.
Yeah, hey KD, you my GOAT scorer, bro. Know that. Know that, please. Don't come.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So as you guys already know, the voting in here is heavily predicated on everybody that's watching. So essentially, we need you guys to vote whether you're watching live or whether you're watching 2 weeks from now. Well, the voting's going to actually end at the end of week 4, and this is week 3. But whether you're watching 5 days from now or whether you're watching live, every vote matters. So at the end of this battle, Pirate versus Zeezy, if you guys think the Zeezy sweat Pirate, you put I got Zeezy 3-0, and that goes to his vote tally. And we will tally all the votes at the end of week 4, and that's who we will determine who wins this matchup. And why do votes matter and why do wins matter so much? Because at the end of the 4-week regular season, we will have a 3-week elimination playoff. And it's a lot of implications to the playoffs too. Some things that I just can't tell you guys just yet. And some things that you just need to know that seeding matters because that will determine who plays each other. It's a 1 through 16 seeding. Obviously, 1 plays 16. Very similar to the NCAA format, Sweet 16. And if you lose, you're taking your ass home.
Simple as that. W host.
All right, y'all. Y'all can't blame me for this. These aren't my technical difficulties. Pirate is, once again, he had to do a side quest, and you know how that goes. But with that being said, we are on a time limit. So, Pirate, if you can't get it together, you may have to forfeit a round. Maybe the whole matchup.
I hope not. I did not prepare for him to have to forfeit. Please, Pirate. Come on, bro. Do it for the culture. Come on, bro.
Man, Pirate might just have to call in. We don't even need him on camera at this point.
Yeah, let him call in. Like Stephen A's show.
Were you able to watch the USA Women's?
Hell yeah. That was Kevin Durant versus Milwaukee 2.0. Watching that whole
crazy, huh?
Crazy work. I caught the whole fourth quarter. By then it was like 43, 45 or something like that. And I was just watching. I was like, damn, are they about to lose? And then credit to Breanna Stewart, man. Credit to B Stu. She was out there getting bored. Credit to Asia Wilson, of course. Kelsey Plum. I texted one of the group chats I was in. And chat, y'all get in on this too. I said, who is Kelsey Plum's NBA comp? Somebody said Philly James Harden. Somebody else said Lakers Russell Westbrook. I said, damn. Philly James Harden, though, I was like, I can get behind this, controlling the tempo, good free throw shooter, I guess. But
people always want to compare like lefties to lefties. I actually think she's more like, because her playmaking is not really all of that. She's really just a goer. She get the ball and go. I actually like her more as a Philly Tyrese Maxey.
Okay.
I like that
that.
where she get the ball and she just go. She get money and she's scoring on all 3 levels. Pirate, what's up? Where you come from?
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, it's a little shady, but
Pirate, how many fingers am I holding up?
Hey, what's up, Zeezy? How you doing, man?
What's up?
I'm
Pirate?
sorry, man. I'm sorry for holding you all up, man. Trying to get it working here, but
I feel you, man. Y'all good.
It seems like you're good now. So JD, we could go ahead and get into it. We a little late as of right now. I got Pirate and I got Zeezy. Zeezy, you are gonna go first. You guys know the time limits. You guys know the rules. You guys know everything. We are 3 weeks into this, so we ready to rock and roll. The first topic we got is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar versus Shaquille O'Neal. Who was more dominant, or who was better? My bad. Who was better?
Is it who's more dominant or who's better?
Oh, well, it says on the screen who was more dominant, so that's what we're going to rock with. Let's get into it, y'all. Zeezy, it's on you. Your time starts.
I thought it was more dominant.
Yeah, it's who's more dominant.
Thought it was more dominant, yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, so I'm good to go?
Yep.
All right. So for me, originally when I saw the question, I immediately looked at Kareem, but then I had to reread the question and I was like, oh, it says dominant. So when I think about dominance, especially physical dominance in NBA history, the most dominant player that comes to mind is Shaquille O'Neal. This is a guy who walked into the league averaging 23, 14, and 3.5 blocks on 56% shooting from the field in his rookie year. This is a guy who they had to literally Shaq-proof backboards for because he was taking goals down with him after throwing down monstrous dunks. When I look at Shaquille O'Neal, especially in the early 90s, I don't want to get into peak Shaq until round 2, but especially in the early 90s, this is a guy that was walking into the league and for his first 14 years gave you 26, 12, and 3 with 3 blocks. This is a guy that was a stat stuffer or a box score stuffer, if you will. This is a guy that when you look at any other player within like 5 to 7 feet, or at least within the restricted area, there's no other center in NBA history that I'd rather throw the ball to than Shaquille O'Neal. When you factor in the fact that he was that damn tall and that damn big, but that had that light of footwork, not to mention the fact that his drop step was virtually deadly. If he got the shake on you, he was going to throw that shit down regardless. So when I look at Shaquille O'Neal and the peak of his dominance, it really starts to hit in the 2000s. But when I look at him in the 90s, that was a guy that was blossoming. This was a guy that went up against a 32-year-old Hakeem Olajuwon and gave you 28, 13, and 6 on 60% shooting at 23 years old in his first NBA Finals. That was nothing more than just a testament to come, which we'll get into in round 2. But off rip, got to go Shaq, most dominant.
Okay. We off to a hot start. Pirate, it's on you now.
All right, yeah. I mean, when you're talking dominance, especially at the center position, you got to look at both sides of the ball. And that's where Kareem really runs away with this thing. Now, Kareem made 11 all-defensive teams, where Shaq only made 3. And all 3 of Shaq's selections were second teams. Kareem made 5 first-team all-defense. Shaq never made 1 first-team all-defense his entire career. And there's honestly no one to blame but himself. He should have been a defensive monster, and he would have been if he had mixed in a fucking salad from time to time instead of ordering extra butter on his French fries at every meal. And that points to dedication, which everyone who saw his career play out knows that Shaq left a ton on the table. That's why many old guys like me, and even his very own cousin, Chill, have Wilt and Kareem over Shaq. Now, just look at the decline in the hustle. His best year blocking the ball was as a rookie, never to come close again. His best year rebounding the ball was as a rookie. Shaq was a gazelle as a rookie. And then came an avalanche of fudge and gravy IVs at halftime and girth-related injuries. Shaq only had 4 years he played at least 76 games. Kareem had 17. So while Shaq was busy dominating all the all-you-can-eat Chinese buffets in town, Kareem dominated both sides of the ball for a good 15 years. Shaq didn't do it. He didn't have near the longevity or the dominance that Kareem did.
That was a good appetizer round, Zeezy. Can we get into the meat and potatoes now? It's on you.
So I like the fact that you brought up, Shaq's deficiencies and what we looked at and said he could have improved upon, which you are 100% right when it comes to defense. But when I look at overall dominance, especially when it comes to Shaquille O'Neal and what separates him from most other centers, it's mostly for me field goal percentage. When I look at Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who played 20 years, Shaquille O'Neal, who played about 18. Shaq led the league in field goal percentage 10 times. Kareem only did that once. And it's crazy because both those guys both have 2 scoring titles, if I'm not mistaken, for a career that spanned both of them over 15 plus years. So when you really think about it and you start breaking down the peaks of their powers, a lot of people like to point to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in 1972. And when you look at the centers that he was going up against at that time, you had an aging Will Chamberlain, Dave Cowens, Nate Thurman. When I look at Shaquille O'Neal in 2000, especially that 2000 MVP and the guys that he was going up against in that era, the dead ball era, one of the greatest, if not the greatest defensive era in all of NBA, he was going up against guys like Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan, who were taking away some of those all defensive teams from Shaquille O'Neal. And when you look back at the Minnesota Timberwolves, especially in the early 2000s, especially early 2000s Kevin Garnett, you'll understand the difference in defense for both of those players. But that still didn't change the fact that Shaquille O'Neal was giving you multiple years of averaging over 3 blocks a game. So while, yeah, he didn't make All-NBA first team, there's no argument that if you drove in, you weren't still going to get your shit sent by that 350-pound gorilla. So it is what it is. When I look at Shaquille O'Neal in 2000 to 2002, throughout the postseason, he gave you 30, 15, and 3 blocks for that 3-year stretch in all of those postseasons. What does that spell? Dominance.
All right, Pirate, how are you going to rebuttal this?
I mean, I'm sad, Ron. Now I feel sad because this is the part of the show where we got to explain to everybody how there really ain't no Santa Claus. See, a lot of people like to talk real slanderous about the competition of days gone by. Well, I hate to break it to you, but the harsh reality is Shaq beat up on more broken down white guys than any center in history. Shaq's comp had so many busted up knees and backs that they couldn't even be plumbers if they tried. So Shaq played 12 series during that three-peat. Let's go over every center involved in that three-peat. Shaq beat Vlade Divac 3 times at age 32, 33, and 34. He beat Arvydas Sabonis twice when he was 35 and 36 years old. He beat David Robinson twice when he was 35 and 36 years old. He beat Rick Smits when he was 34 years old. He beat a 33-year-old Cliff Robinson. He beat a 31-year-old Luke Longley. He beat a Portland team that didn't even have a center on the roster. He beat Todd McCulloch and Jason Collins, and then he beat a 35-year-old Mutombo. And that is it. That's all the centers he played in that entire three-peat. Not one single great center in his prime. The closest thing was the 35-year-old Mutombo, who only had 1 good year in the league afterwards. Now, I'm just the messengers, all right? So don't shoot me. We all love Shaq, but let's be honest. Any great center with Kobe and LA in that situation is probably going to do the exact same thing. Kareem beat Nate Thurman in his prime, Will Chamberlain.
I got to mute you, Pirate. Your time is up. Zeezy is back to you. Round 3 of topic 1. Talk to us.
So to say that any center would have been able to dominate the same way that Shaq is kind of a little bit of a stretch to me, especially when you look at just how much he was dominating. In the 2000 finals, he gave you 38 points a game and 17 rebounds on 61% shooting from the field. Like I said before, Kareem played 20 years and only led the league in field goal percentage 1 time. And when you look at Shaquille O'Neal, he did it 10 times. And when you look at Shaquille O'Neal being a 60% from the field type of player, he did that stat more times than Kareem did in his 20-year career. Then when you look at the 2001 finals, he gave you 33, 16, 5, and 4 blocks a game on 57% shooting from the field. So of course, so I like that you brought up the fact that he went up against Rick Smits and the 35-year-old Dikembe Mutombo, who was Defensive Player of the Year that year, which counts for something. So when I look at that and I think about the fact that there were literal instances where teams in their off seasons through those years of peak Shaq 2000, 2002, that were getting players, big men especially, as insurance policies just because they needed bodies to be able to withstand the Shaq attack. The closest analogy that I have to that is like the Houston Rockets in 2018 building their team to just stop the Warriors. That was the majority of teams in the league in the early 2000s. Instead, they weren't stopping a team. They were trying to stop a diesel. in Shaquille O'Neal, because what you had with Shaquille O'Neal was a guy that not only could give you the points, the rebounds, and the blocks, but the efficiency as well, with an ability to pass out of double teams better than most all time that size. Not Nikola Jokic.
Let's go, Pirate. Talk to us. It's your third round.
Yeah, so I mean, relying on efficiency really isn't a winning strategy, because the mere fact that Kareem was a better free throw shooter gives them a better true shooting. They're very close in efficiency. But now we're talking about dominance. Let's go over the obligatory achievements, and 1.5 minutes ain't enough. So MVP, 6 for Kareem, 1 for Shaq. Rings, 6 for Kareem, 4 for Shaq. First team NBA, 10 for Kareem, 8 for Shaq. All defense, 11 for Kareem, 3 for Shaq. First team defense, 5 for Kareem, 0 for Shaq. Kareem averaged more points, more rebounds, more assists, more steals, and more blocks. Kareem also got more total points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Every category higher averages and totals. And of course, Kareem has a higher VORP than Shaq. Kareem led the NBA in VORP 7 times. Shaq did it once. Kareem led the playoffs in scoring 5 times. Shaq did it once. Kareem led the playoffs in blocks 6 times, despite them not counting blocks for his first 4 years. Shaq did it once. Kareem had a higher true shooting percentage than Shaq. He was a 72% shooter at the line. Shaq was a brick at the line. Shaq was so bad at the line that one of the most obvious strategies was developed to specifically target his weakness. You can't hack a Kareem, but you can most definitely hack a Shaq. So to be clear, every single fucking page of NBA history, Kareem dominated. And that's the question, right? Who dominated? Kareem dominated. He dominated the NBA. He dominated Shaq in every statistical, every achievement, every way you can possibly measure a basketball player. Kareem dominated.
All right, here we go. Put up the poll. Y'all get over and vote. That was an amazing first topic. Shaq versus Kareem. It doesn't get much better than that. 2 of the most dominant players to ever touch a basketball and set foot on the hardwood. You guys make sure that when you're done voting, like the video, or when you're done liking the video, you go and vote. And talk to us, chat. Let us know how you guys are feeling about this. Salute to everybody that's in here right now. We still got more people coming in here. Make sure you visit www.playerschoicemerch after this matchup and check out some of the nice, fine things that we got over there. All right, y'all. We are going to dive directly into the second topic right after this. We're not going to waste any time. So, Zeezy, you went first. Pirate, you are going to go second in this next topic. And what we have right now is the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Which team will win a championship first? I'm eagerly excited to see what angles you guys are going to take for this topic, because these are 2 of the best teams in the Western Conference and in the NBA in totality. But we got 20 more seconds left. You guys make sure you get over and vote. Vote, vote, vote. Every vote matters. All right, y'all, here we go. Here we go. Chat, keep talking to us. Keep going, chat. Keep going. All right, Pirate, it is on you. JD is going to put up the poll. JD, I can't see the poll. Can you let me know who won? Let's see here. Let's see. Pirates, you took round 1 with 80% of the votes. Shout out to Pirates. You got 80% of the live votes. We are moving on to the next topic. Pirate, your timer will start whenever you do. Let's go. Hold on, Pirate. Hold on.
All right.
Start from the top. You got it.
Is my camera working or no?
Yeah, no, you good to go. We can hear you and see you.
You can just hear me, can't see me. What a shame.
No,
what a shame.
We can hear you and see you.
Oh, you can hear me and see me. All right. Well, there we go. All right. You ready?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. All right. So first off, I'd like to welcome everyone all aboard the Minnesota OKC train. Reminder, I'm that old chunk of coal who said last summer these 2 teams would be top of the West. So welcome anyway. So when you're talking about who's going to win a ring, sad fact is, unless you have a generational team, Each year, 97% of the league is going to lose. So odds are neither are going to win. But when forecasting teams to win a championship, there are a few common pits that people can fall down. Number one is putting too much faith in young, talented teams to get it done. Sad reality is uncertainty compounds exponentially so much each year that it's really impossible to say where a team will be 3 to 4 years from now. History is littered with good young teams that never made it. Count up all of KD's rings in OKC. So you really can't look more than a couple years down the line in most all situations. So OK's youth isn't really the plus that many may give to them. In a few of the more concrete indicators of future success, Minnesota is in a better place. Number one is defense. Defense is much more likely to carry over year to year, assuming you don't lose any defensive linchpin. In the last 40 years, 25 of the champions have had a higher ranked defense than they had offense. Only a couple champs were outside of the top 10, and most were firmly inside the top 5. 25 of the last 40 champs have had a top 5 defense. Defense is perhaps the surest indicator.
Pirate, that is your time, my man. I had to mute you. Zeezy, it's back on you. Go ahead. Your minute and 30 starts when you do.
So we talk about defense. That was the one thing that Pirate harped on a lot in that 1 minute and 30 seconds. And I look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that was 57-25, best record in the Western Conference last year, and I believe a top 5 defense in the league. And one thing that Oklahoma City has over Minnesota, a lot of the time when you really look at it on base level, is age and assets and player development and things, and an MVP caliber leader in SGA. When you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder and the assets that they were able to acquire since getting SGA, and then you look at the build upon build of year after year that they've been going throughout this rebuild, for me personally, I looked at them in 2022 and said, what are they actually missing? And then I said, Chet Holmgren, when he actually gets back and plays a full healthy season, is going to give them that benefit of being a defensive anchor along with being another option on offense, which is exactly what he was able to give you. When I look at Jalen Williams' development from year 1 to year 2, shooting splits going up from field goal percentage to 3-point to free throw, and he's playing roughly the same exact amount of minutes. So that tells you that player development is kicking in relatively quickly for Oklahoma City to be able to capitalize on what they have over there. So for me, you say that defense, it wins championships, which it does. But when I look at Minnesota, they put all their chips on the table for Rudy Gobert, and the same issues that plagued him through postseason runs from Utah ended up plaguing him again this year, where he's getting played off the court because him in one-on-one situations is not a recipe for success. It's a recipe for his ass to end up on Shaq in the Fool every single time. So when I look at Oklahoma City, their issues are not the same as Minnesota.
Round 2. Take it away, Pirate.
Well, yeah, I mean, just once again, the youth, is not really the plus that you might think it is. The second major factor for projecting champions that Minnesota has the edge on is that they have been, knocking at the door, so to speak, which again is a heavy indicator based on NBA history. Virtually no NBA champs have been able to cut in line, so to speak, where the core is a bunch of young players who haven't taken their licks, gone to the playoffs, get bounced, come back, try again. That's the general pattern in the NBA. OKC has such a young core with little experience that you really have to go all the way back to 1977 with Bill Walton's Blazers to find a similarly comprised, youthful, and inexperienced team that went on to win the championship. Odds are OKC still needs some more time in the oven, where Minnesota has the more classical look of a blend of older players, older proven players mixed with guys just hitting their prime, who've taken their licks in the playoffs together and may be ready to finally break through. So Minnesota's a more mature team, more experienced team. They have a young rising star that you want to see in a potential champ. Again, going back to the defense, defense probably the number one indicator for a champ. They've got the reigning depoy. A lot of people don't like him, but it is a fact. Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels. At this age, you would forecast progression much more likely than regression. They have coaching continuity. So, yeah, the odds are very good that Minnesota will again.
Pirate, you're overtime one more time, but it's okay. Here we go. Zeezy, round 2, talk to us.
So when you talk about experience for Minnesota, how much experience do they really have over Oklahoma City because they made it to a Western Conference Finals? That was cute, but really what you have to look at when you look at Minnesota is what they're really going to have going forward. When you look at Oklahoma City, the biggest issue for this team last year was the fit of Josh Giddey. That was the main issue. In the offseason, they replaced Josh Giddey with a 30-year-old Alex Caruso, who was one of the best perimeter defenders in the league and helps them on the three-point from the perimeter, something that Josh Giddey wasn't able to do either of those options. And then when you look at Minnesota, they have Rudy Gobert for another couple of years. By the time his contract ends, he'll be 32. They have Karl Anthony Towns locked in until I believe 2027 or 2028, in which he will be about 32 years old. So the second option for Minnesota is Karl Anthony Towns, who we know for his limited experience for the postseason is a playoff dropper. Not something that you can really bank on if you want your offense to really be clicking the same way your defense was in the regular season. And then when we talk about defense, like I mentioned before, the Oklahoma City Thunder were a top 5 defense last year. Chet Holmgren was second in total blocks in the regular season and first in total and blocks per game in the playoffs. What Oklahoma City did by getting rid of Josh Giddey, bringing in Alex Caruso, re-signing guys like Aaron Wiggins, bringing in guys like Isaiah Joe, Cason Wallace, and the crew. What they have is they went from a team that was really young and exciting to a team that has a bunch of elite defensive options, not to mention their MVP player who plays two-way better than most guards in the game today. So when you look at the future, it seems like it's brighter for the Thunder.
Zeezy cooking up. Pirate, how you going to come this third round?
Yeah, it sucks. I can't see the clock, but oh well. Just to reiterate, Minnesota is the more mature team, more experienced team. They have a young rising star that you want to see in a potential champ. They got the pieces with Edwards, McDaniels, Towns, Gobert to again have at least a top 3 defense, if not number 1. Yeah, the Dallas thing happened, but fuck it, shit happens. They got OKC too. Towns is still one of the greatest shooting bigs of all time. You would like to think at some point he can really put a run together. Edwards is in a prime position, take a solid leap as much as anyone in the game. Hopefully enough to get that team offense up enough to be a real legit threat paired with the defense. Again, at this stage, OKC's youth is most likely still going to be more of a negative than a positive. If you go off every historical trend in the NBA, you really don't know who all and what all players on OKC will stay together past the next couple of years. Guys will need to get paid. Decisions will have to be made. So in just the next couple of years, I'd say Minnesota has the firmer base to build off of to maybe crack through and win a ring. They've got the defense. They will probably have the better defense. They've got the continuity, coaching and player-wise. They've got the blend of solid veterans and youth just hitting their prime. They've got the superstar player on the verge of a...
Pirates, your time is up. Zeezy, your time is starting when you do.
So for me, you brought up contracts and how that's going to be a factor going forward. But I think that Minnesota's contract negotiations are going to be more of a deterrent for them in what they're trying to accomplish, which ultimately is this question: who will win a championship first? When you look at Minnesota, they have situations that will pop up. Like, what are they going to do with Karl Anthony Towns? Because Karl Anthony Towns is literally on his, 3rd or 4th big 3 for this franchise. You remember the years of Zach LaVine and Andrew Wiggins. You remember the years of Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler. Now we're all the way up to here with Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and Naz Reid. Mind you, you said that their age for the Thunder was going to be a detriment for them. I don't think so, because if I'm not mistaken, were they the youngest 1 seed in NBA history or second youngest? So when you look at that and you think about what the Minnesota Timberwolves have to deal with going forward, they have 2 36-year-olds on their team, and Mike Conley and I believe Joe Ingles. The oldest player on the Oklahoma City Thunder is Alex Caruso, who's 30. So when you look at that and you think about contract negotiations and player development, which is a big part of all of this, when you look at guys like Jalen Williams, when you look at role players like Cason Wallace and and Aaron Wiggins, right? When you look at guys like Alex Caruso and what the impact he's going to bring standing next to a Lou Dort. We look at Lou Dort and we say Dorcher chamber, Dorcher chamber, Dorcher chamber. Imagine that and Alex Caruso and SGA on the perimeter giving you hell, switching every single screen. It's a problem. And then you factor in the fact that Jalen Williams is only going to continue to get better along with Chet Holmgren. And what you'll eventually have is a solidified big 3, where in Minnesota, you got guys that are literally going to just be falling off year by year.
Let's run the polls. Let's get to the numbers. Y'all get over there and go vote. Let me know who you guys ultimately believe won this topic. The Timberwolves versus the Thunder. Who will win a championship first? What I need you guys to do is take all emotion out of this. Take all biasness out of this. Take your fan hats off, in the words of my good friend Chill. And vote on based on who made the best points, who had the best delivery, who debated best, who rebutted best, and ultimately, who just had the most aura. Hey, y'all, aura matters, okay? Aura matters. But in all seriousness, you guys get over there and vote based on who you ultimately believe made the better argument. That is topic 2. We have one more topic left. Zeezy, it will be on you for topic 3. And this is an interesting topic as well. We got Tyrese Haliburton versus De'Aaron Fox. 2 dynamic point guards in the NBA currently. Which point guard would you rather build your team around? Here we go. We got 20 more seconds left to go. Get over there and vote as of right now. Woo! I'm not going to say nothing to sway the votes, but damn. Damn! All right. It's looking like we are 1-1 right now. Pirates, you took the first round with 80% of the votes. Zeezy, it's looking like you ran away with the second round with about 82% of the votes. So we've had 2 landslides so far. Let's see if we can make this one a little closer. Zeezy, the time will start whenever you do, my friend.
All right, so this one's a tough one because I love Haliburton and I love De'Aaron Fox. And like Pirate said in the first round when we were talking about Kareem and Shaq, there are 2 sides to the basketball, which is why I'm leaning more towards De'Aaron Fox. I mean, when I look at Fox, this is a guy who is the much better defender between the 2. And you're asking about building your team around one or the other. When I look at Tyrese Haliburton, a situation that could pop up like it did in the playoffs is Haliburton being put on the island by himself and being exposed for not being able to guard a parked car. Whereas De'Aaron Fox has that, not only that motor and that will to want to be a good defender, but the ability to not just do that, but create his own shot when need be. When you look at De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Haliburton, the biggest thing that's going to sway people one way or the other is do you value shooting and playmaking, or do you value scoring ability and defense? That's what this is all boiling down to. And when I look at De'Aaron Fox on the season last year, he was able to give you 47% from the field on 21 attempts, which is crazy, but that's what he was able to give you, along with shooting 37% from 3 on 8 attempts. And for De'Aaron Fox, when you look at his career besides last season, this was a guy that notoriously struggled from 3. But being that this was his highest volume of attempts from 3, he was able to produce 37% clip. That's pretty damn good. When I look at Tyrese Haliburton, he gave you 47% from the field as well throughout the regular season on 15 attempts and 36%. That's right, 1% less from 3 than De'Aaron Fox on the same exact amount of attempts. So when it really comes down to is that De'Aaron Fox is ascending when it comes to expanding his game, and Haliburton isn't the same type of player in that regard.
Take it away, Pirate.
Well, I didn't expect the defensive angle for De'Aaron Fox, but now, no offense to Big Ox and the other 5 Kings fans of America, but Sacramento has never been known for the best brain trust on personnel decisions, and pretty sure this is another one of them picking the wrong guy. When you look at what player you want to build a franchise around, I think you're looking at age and ability, what they've done, what they're reasonably expected to do, their reasonable floor and ceiling, and how easily their game can mesh with others to maximize the options of filling out the roster around them. So Haliburton is the pretty clear answer there. He's 2.5 years younger. He's already got a better VORP. He's excelling at the most fundamental and valuable skills his position requires. He's efficient and productive distribution and efficient and productive perimeter scoring. At his age, he's already compiling a stat line that is historic, hitting a combination of benchmarks that literally no other player in NBA history has hit. And that fundamental skill set allows you to pair Tyrese with a wider variety of teammates, especially in the backcourt. Being a bigger guard who is perimeter oriented is far more versatile, and I'll illustrate it just with this clear point. Tyrese can reasonably share the backcourt with another guard like Fox or another guard like himself, whereas Fox cannot reasonably share the backcourt with another guard like himself. It's not going to work. The size and the scoring options, the defense are not going to work. And again, to focus on Fox.
Pirate had to step in. Your time is up. I know that minute 30 go by quick, but Zeezy, round 2, it's on you.
So another element of De'Aaron Fox's game that I ended up gravitating towards was not only is he able to create his own shot and be pretty efficient, especially on a high amount of volume, is the fact that he's a fourth quarter dog. When we look at De'Aaron Fox last year, he was second in fourth quarter scoring. Tyrese Haliburton wasn't even top 25. And so for me, if you're talking about building your franchise around one specific player, the fact that De'Aaron Fox has the ability to not only take over games when your star player needs to the most, but to be effective in those moments, that's going to kind of sway me more towards De'Aaron Fox. And to the defensive point, I said it before, if you have a motor or a will to play defense, that is something that a front office is going to look at over a guy that may not have that same will or that ability to do so. When I look at De'Aaron Fox, the fact that this guy was able to turn around that Sacramento organization with the help of Domantas Sabonis, of course, but leading one of the top 3 offenses in the league during their little Cinderella one last year. Shout out to you, Ox. I know you like that, but it is what it is. When I look at that, I think to myself, De'Aaron Fox is a leader, right? He is a guy that can score at will. He is a guy that does not mind playing both sides of the ball. And he is a guy that overall can really affect the course of the game in the biggest moments of the game where you need him to the most. And that is the fourth quarter. Like I said, Tyrese Haliburton wasn't even top 25 in fourth quarter scoring last year. And to your point about, availability as well, Tyrese Haliburton was missing some games last year as well. That was the reason why he couldn't really fulfill a lot of the obligations to his team. But De'Aaron Fox is going to be there as well. He has that ability.
Zeezy, had to mute you. Your time is up. Pirate, it's back on you. Let's do it.
Well, I mean, talking about playoffs, Fox is about to be 28. He's got one playoff series in his career he lost. So I brought up how Tyrese is thus far putting up a legitimately unique and historic stat line. And Fox's game leaves something to be desired in long-term team success. So let's go over that. Simply put, when you're talking about a point guard who, 1, sets up his teammates, 2, doesn't turn the ball over, and 3, shoots the ball very well on a very good volume, no player in history has done it quite like Haliburton. So to that point, the last couple of years, Hallie has been 20-plus points, 10-plus assists, less than 2.5 turnovers, and 40% from 3 on 7 threes a game. To be clear, no player in history has hit that combination of thresholds. So now, maybe those numbers aren't quite explosive enough to tickle your titties, and that's cool, to each his own. But personally, you start talking about a tall 20-10 point guard with low turnovers and high efficiency, and I personally get a severe case of the vapors. So just to be well aware that no player in NBA history has put up the same profile that Haliburton has already crafted, let alone what may be to come, considering he's still only 24 years old. Again, he's much younger than Fox, and we're talking about building a player to start a franchise. So the prototypical skills, the age, and the ability to mesh with teammates, they all favor Haliburton.
All right, here we go. That was 2 rounds or 3?
That was 2.
That was 2?
Yeah, that's the third one.
All right, here we go. Third round, Zeezy. Talk to us, my man.
Well, I said it before a little bit. I touched on it a little bit in the first round. But last year in the regular season, what you saw from De'Aaron Fox in comparison to Tyrese Haliburton was essentially the same exact efficiency on the same attempts from 3 and a higher efficiency higher attempts from the field. With Tyrese Haliburton, an issue that you will run into, which is what this Indiana Pacers team ran into last year in the postseason, was for as much as we were hyping up how phenomenal their offense was. And remember, people were trying to put Tyrese Haliburton in those conversations based off of like a 2-week run. I fell victim to that too. I'm not excluding myself. But what I did was, after those 2 weeks of fame were up, I started to reevaluate what Tyrese Haliburton really is as a player. And what that is yes, he can shoot the ball. Yes, he can facilitate. But with De'Aaron Fox, what you have is a guy that is willing to put the team on his back when needed to, i.e. the fourth quarter. When you look at De'Aaron Fox and what he did for Sacramento, for example, in that 2023 run to the playoffs, he was the clear-cut leader of that squad. Yes, Sabonis was able to bring them a different versatility at the big man position, but De'Aaron Fox was spearheading all of that. And if De'Aaron Fox needed to set up guys like Keegan Murray or guys like Harrison fucking Barnes, I hate that man, but even in situations like that, he could do that. All right. So when I look at that and I think to myself, you have a guy in De'Aaron Fox who not only can create his own shot, can take over a game, can play better defense. Those are things that you can build around and put together all of the other little pieces that you need to. Imagine if Sabonis was a better defender on the interior, the Kings would have probably went farther in the playoffs in 2023.
Round 3, Pirates, your last case argument. Talk to us.
Yeah, so I mean, talking about threes, they're not the same shots. Fox, the vast majority, over 66% of his threes are assisted. Haliburton's, the majority of his shots he creates at the top of the arc. They're not the same. So with Fox, you've got a good dynamic player that just isn't as fundamentally sound in many of the key areas as Haliburton. Across the board for his career, Fox has been a below league average efficiency scorer. Well, Haliburton for his career has been an above league average efficiency scorer across the board, and the gap is sizable. It's more than the full 10-point difference in their EFG plus. Now, Fox did have an uptick last year. That's fair enough, but 1 year is not a trend, and Fox is older. And just going off their careers, you would expect Haliburton to continue to simply be the more efficient scorer. Fox simply isn't at the same level as a passer. Vast majority of his threes come assisted, where Haliburton scores the majority of his threes. He creates himself. Fact is, Fox is a shorter player who takes almost 70% of his shots from either 14 feet in or at the corners. Now, neither are going to win a default anytime soon. Defense is not really that relevant, but this style of player for Fox, a shorter guard who shoots high volume, mainly inside, simply has a certain built-in disadvantages in regard to team defense, and that's a big reason why he's only cracked top 20 team defense in his entire career. If you have a little guard who is dribbling and shooting a lot around the paint.
Sorry, Pirate. As much as I would have loved to let you get that last part off, we got to run the polls because your time is up. Go ahead and vote on this final topic. Tyrese Haliburton versus De'Aaron Fox. Who would you rather build your team around? Vote based on who you believe made the better points, had the better arguments, and ultimately just did the better job. All right, the polls are up, and they're close to start out with. Curious to see how this ends. We have a minute to go. Get over there and vote. Next up, we got John D versus Gifted. We getting straight into that matchup right now, right when these polls are done. Get over there and go vote. In the meantime, fellas, you guys did a phenomenal job. As expected, you guys came up here, killed it, made good, compelling points. We had 3 good topics. What was you guys' favorite topic of the day?
Well, it was definitely not fucking Minnesota, man. I mean, I got OKC too. You know, I tried to argue what I could, but
yeah, I agree. I was gonna say that one. The Shaq one and Kareem. I will say I did my homework on Kareem in his earlier years, and I was pleasantly surprised at just how dominant he was. I think Kareem's in my third all time. You know, in the GOAT debate. And I was like, I'm not surprised after I checked those stats. I was like, yeah, I knew it was an accurate, prediction. But that was
Zeezy. I didn't even bring up because I felt a lot of the younger people wouldn't care about college stats. But back in the day, college really mattered when you were going to college for 4 years. And I mean, Kareem just dominated college too. So when you add that to what he was also able
I got to step in, fellas, because we started late, so we got to move on because we got to get to this next battle. But it looks like Pirate run the live vote for the last one with 57% of the votes. Remember, the live vote isn't the end all be all. You guys get here and vote after the video. Just leave a comment, say I got Zeezy or I got Pirate, and those votes will count towards this battle and will determine who actually wins. Fellas, appreciate you guys. We are going to take a quick intermission, and we'll be right back for John D versus Gifted. Let's get ready to rumble. I got John D with me. I got Gifted with me. We got 3 good topics with 2 good contestants, and one of you guys will be the winner today. So let's go ahead and get into it, fellas. We are a little bit behind on the time, so we aren't going to waste any time. Let's go ahead and do it. The first topic of the day, and it will be on you first, Gifted.
Okay.
We have Joel Embiid versus Giannis. Who is the better player today? Take it away, Gifted.
Yeah. So our topic again is who is the better player today? This is not a 4 years ago conversation, a 5 years ago conversation. This is based on who the best player in between these two is today. And that answer is Joel Embiid. Last year, before he was hurt, he was playing at an MVP pace. And keep in mind, this is a team that did not have James Harden on the roster to start the year because he wanted to be traded. It was simply Tyrese Maxey, the ghost of whatever Kelly Oubre could be, and Joel Embiid as their leading guys. And they were playing at a 60-win pace. He goes down. The Sixers are 16-27 without him. They rank very, very low in terms of their defense, and they're basically a lottery team. He comes back through the injury, gets that team to the playoffs. In terms of his strengths as a player, when you're comparing it to a Giannis Antetokounmpo, the biggest difference is he doesn't have a Brook Lopez to be in the paint for him so he can play help side. Joel Embiid is tasked with being the anchor for his team and also being the offensive engine of his team. And for the last 3 seasons, he's been playing at a very high level. Again, this season, he was averaging 30 plus points per game, 35 to be exact, before his minutes. He was averaging more points than minutes. Joel Embiid is a better player. And the main argument for Giannis that he's going to probably use is going to be durability. Well, Joel Embiid's played more playoff games in the last 3 years than Giannis has. And I think that when you're evaluating their skill sets, it's not even close. The answer is Joel Embiid as an all-around basketball player than a Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's a great first round, Gifted. John D, let's see what you can match that.
All right, so in these past few seasons, we've seen that there has been some type of scheme set up to go up against Giannis, which is the Giannis wall. Well, we've seen Giannis average 30 plus points multiple times, on top of having many rebounds, on top of being a better playmaker and defender than Joel Embiid. I think Giannis is more versatile on the defensive end. I think he grabs boards way better, weighing in that he is shorter than Joel Embiid and weighs less. I think Giannis is a way better rebounder. I think he is a better defender. I think he can guard on the perimeter. I think he can play and help, and I think he can guard down low. Versatility is one of the most important things as a basketball player, and being how dominant he is inside, I think Giannis is a better player than Joel Embiid. We talk about durability. Yes, Joel Embiid has played more playoff games in the past few seasons, but where has that gotten them? Where has that gotten them? In the playoffs, we have seen Joel Embiid choke multiple times. His shooting has tanked. His play inside has tanked. You can push him to the mid-range, but sometimes that could be very inconsistent as well. Every time we bring up Joel Embiid's name, it's always a what if. If that mid-range is falling, Joel Embiid can be the unquestionable number one guy to lead you to a championship. If Joel Embiid is healthy, that guy is unquestionably able to lead you to a championship. We know that Giannis can do it because Giannis has done it. Giannis is not the best free throw shooter, but when in Game 6 of the NBA Finals, he shot 17 for 19 from the free throw line, being able to adjust his game and get a lot better when his team needs it.
All right, Gifted, it's back over to you for round 2. Talk to us.
So because you can't use the durability argument because Joel Embiid has played more playoff games, he then pivots to Embiid being a playoff choker. Last time I checked, we saw what happened where Giannis was on a number 1 seed that choked against the Miami Heat when he came back into the game. When down the stretch, because of his flaws as a player, he could not close and need to pass the ball out because he was afraid to shoot free throws. Joel Embiid is a career 80% free throw shooter and can knock down shots in those moments overall. Joel Embiid has not been graced with the talent that Giannis has had put around him, where he had a Drew Holiday, he had a Chris Middleton that at least elevated their defense respectfully. Joel Embiid has been tasked with a higher load than what Giannis has had. And again, when he's on the floor, the Sixers are a +9 and they average 120.7 points per possession. When he's off of the floor, they bleed a ton of value. They are the 52nd percentile team in terms of offense. And again, without him, they're a lottery team. When you're talking about who's a better basketball player on defense, Joel Embiid is tasked with more, as he has to be inside the paint more. And offensively, he's just a much better player. Giannis has his flaws because he tries to create offense from the perimeter. And that's why, by the way, he had to go to Hakeem to try to learn moves to elevate his bag. Joel Embiid doesn't have to do that because he's simply Joel Embiid. He has that variability and can fit around much better teams than a Giannis can based off his play style. This isn't about 5 years ago or 4 years ago. It's based off right now. And right now, Joel Embiid is a better basketball player than Giannis.
John D, talk to us.
Well, last season against the Miami Heat, where you said they choked, in game 5, Giannis had 38 points and 20 rebounds and shots, 51% from the field. I don't think that's choking. The game before that had 26 points, 10 rebounds, and 13 assists. I don't think that's choking. He missed 3 games in that series. Am I seeing something wrong? No, he missed 3 games in that series. He's still a way better defender than Joel Embiid. He may not have the bag that Joel Embiid has, but he can definitely put points on the board when it matters. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo's dominance around the rim is what gives him the edge over Joel Embiid. I think Joel Embiid has some questionable shot taking. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is more dominant in the paint. I think he cannot be stopped in the paint. I think he is longer. I think he's more versatile. I think there are a lot of things that Giannis brings to the game that Joel Embiid just does not. I think Giannis can be put in different situations on offense where he can be a playmaker. He could be a solid screener. He could be solid down low. I think he could be a solid glass cleaner, second chance points. I think Giannis Antetokounmpo is better in all those statistics. I think that Giannis is more versatile on defense, and he has a better shot blocking ability than Joel Embiid. I think he's more impactful around the rim. I think he's more impactful in switching. I think he is more impactful in help. I think Giannis on defense is better than Joel Embiid. And I think otherwise than bag, I think Giannis is just as dominant as Joel Embiid is.
Go ahead, Gifted. It's back on you. Round 3.
So he said in terms of bag, he believes Giannis is just as dominant as Joel Embiid, a player that was averaging 35 points per game as a 3-level scorer that was unstoppable during the regular season, a player that has been higher in the MVP race than Giannis for the past 3 overall seasons, and last year would have been a runaway favorite to win it. We're talking about a player that ultimately, as a defense, did not have the level of defensive tools that Giannis had around him. Joel Embiid has been a player that for the majority of his career has been a dominant basketball player and has learned how to play many different ways. He's more versatile than Giannis because Giannis is more so of a rim threat. The Bucks made a trade for Damian Lillard, and people said, how are you going to stop the Giannis pick and roll? Well, during the regular season, that didn't happen as much because their best play was really Dame and Brook Lopez because Giannis is a poor screener. Joel Embiid is a better screener. And more importantly, Joel Embiid as the rim deterrent at the basket with his profile offensively is a much more versatile player than Giannis. He also brought up his stats from game 5. Again, we've seen the flaws and limitations in Giannis's game. And you want to talk about all of these what ifs. Going back to the championship 4 years ago doesn't move the needle when that whole run that they had was a what if. People say the Brooklyn Nets, if they stayed healthy, probably would have beat that team that won 7 games without all their players being there. Joel Embiid has been the better player right now because this is the right now conversation and not before. And in terms of versatility, he fits way better because he can shoot the ball, make his free throws, and play defense as a 5, not needing a 5 to play with him.
Keep going, Gifted. John D, your time starts when you do.
Okay, so before we get started, I think there was a mix-up because I definitely thought I had Joel Embiid. My notes are all for Joel Embiid. So I've been going off the top of the head. But okay, to kind of wrap this up, Giannis Antetokounmpo is a defensive player of the year. He is definitely more versatile on defense than Joel Embiid is. I think Giannis, once again, is a better shot blocker. I think Giannis is better with just downhill, straight to the basket. I think Giannis is unstoppable. I mean, we've seen in the NBA, in the restricted area, Giannis Antetokounmpo is 80% from there. Almost unstoppable. I think Giannis is, once again, like I said, the better defender. And yeah. I'm gonna let it rock.
All right, that's that. Let's throw up the poll right now. You guys make sure to go over there and vote.
I think I literally have all my notes for Joel Embiid. I thought I had Joel Embiid. Yeah, maybe next week I'm gonna text the person I'm going against and make sure we have
Gifted.
different topics.
No, Gifted. This is nasty out of you. Gifted,
What
know
you
this
mean?
is
What you mean it's nasty out of me? What you
Gifted.
mean it's nasty? I like you didn't have to. I'm sorry. That's tough. I'm just surprised you gave up so fast. You could have tried to spin off of that and make other points. So all your
was
notes
really
about Joel Embiid?
I have 3 different arguments for Joel Embiid.
Oh,
3
you wrote
different
it out
arguments.
on paper for the wrong
Yes.
player. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, once again, I was just doing the best I could because I was completely because I'm like, hold on. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just try and give at least 2 good ass rounds and then we're gonna go from there. And then once I felt like I was repeating myself too much, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna be honest.
Tough.
Well, here we go. It is 15 more seconds left. So you guys go vote and we'll get on to the second topic, which is Oscar Robertson versus Russell Westbrook. Who's the better triple-double machine? John D, who do you have?
Oscar Robertson.
Gifted, who do you have?
I have Westbrook.
All right, cool,
Okay.
cool. Whew. All right. The poll is up, and it looks like Gifted, you took round 1 with 60% of the votes. So that's that. Make sure you continue to vote when it's not live. Gifted, you started round 1 first. So John D, you will start topic 2 first. Take it away.
Okay, so before we get anything started, I kind of want to freshen the chat's memory of Oscar Robertson if you are not knowledgeable of his game. Oscar Robertson was drafted number 1 in the 1960 NBA draft, and as a rookie, he averaged 30 points per game, 10 rebounds, and 9.7 assists, almost averaging a triple-double already in his rookie season. In his second season, he finally took home the triple-double, which was 31 points, I think about 11 rebounds and 10 assists. In his second season, with a much faster-paced game, no three-point line, more shorter rebounders, and guys like Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, who were dominant rebounders from day one. Oscar Robertson standing at 6'5" and was very athletic. His game definitely translates. He's athletic. He can move up and down the floor. He's a very good shooter for his time in the NBA. He was a great player from the post. And by his second season, he was averaging a triple-double. And throughout his first 5 seasons, he was averaging a triple-double, even though he only averaged a triple-double in one of those seasons. Some years, his rebounds were a lot higher than his assists. Some years, his assists were a lot higher than his rebounds. Altogether, it accumulated to about 31 points, 12 rebounds, and 10 assists. This is a real triple-double machine, especially in the era that he was given. And in his first 5 seasons, he finished top 20 in rebounds, which is the only guard to do so in his era. So I think Oscar Robertson is the real triple-double machine. I think he was more efficient than Russell Westbrook by getting with his play style, and I think he impacted winning more than Russell Westbrook.
All right, Gifted, it's back over to you. Round 1, talk to us.
Love it. Yeah, this ain't about winning. The topic is who is better at producing triple doubles. It's not about winning. If you think Russ is a shot checking loser, that shit doesn't matter. Why? Because it's about who can produce a triple double better. The answer is Russell Westbrook, a guy that broke Oscar's own record for triple doubles in a single season, has multiple triple double records, has done it in more than one season, by the way. And here's the biggest word of them all: pace. What is pace? That speaks to the overall possession that you get. Ultimately, Russell Westbrook in Oklahoma City, the first year that he averaged it, that's right, the first year, his pace of play was a lot lower than whatever Oscar Robertson had. It was 97.8. What is that? That ranks 9th in the league of 30 teams. What was Oscar Robertson's pace? In a league of only 9 teams, it was 124.9. So you're telling me that Russ, in fewer possessions, was able to average a triple-double, and yet Oscar Robertson is better? I don't think so. And again, it's not about who the better player is. It's about producing the stats, getting the triple-double. And what are we seeing? Russ, he wants to get a triple-double. He will get a triple-double. And more importantly, he did it with inferior talent. He's done it on many different rosters. We saw him do it for the Wizards to help them make the playoffs through the play-in. He was doing that. So he's done it in multiple different situations. Oscar Robertson cannot say the same. And on fewer possessions has gotten more off. The answer is clearly Russell Westbrook. He clears Oscar Robertson at triple doubles.
John D, round 2. Let's do it.
Okay, so Oscar Robertson clears Russell Westbrook in points per game, rebounds per game, total points, and he also played less games, and he has more total assists, and he's more efficient from the field and from the free throw line. I think Oscar Robertson's game impacts winning more, and you can tell by win shares and offensive win shares if you look up the stats. Showing Oscar was more efficient and more impacted on winning when he was getting his triple doubles. In the first 5 seasons, or let's say Oscar Robertson's first 5 seasons, and in the 5 seasons that Russell Westbrook averaged 4 triple doubles in the 5 seasons, Oscar Robertson still produced more points, rebounds, and assists, and was more efficient and had more offensive win shares and in win shares. I think Oscar Robertson was more efficient. He impacted winning more. Russell Westbrook was having rebounds, having his big man box out for his rebounds. Russell Westbrook had the ball 90% of every possession. He was taking bad shots. He was lazy on defense. I think Oscar Robertson's efficiency and how he impacted winning was way more impactful with his triple doubles than Russell Westbrook's.
Gifted, it's back on you. Talk to us.
Damn, done already, huh? Again, winning don't matter. I could give a damn who you think is the better player. This is about who is going to get those stats. And what do we know, y'all? Russell Westbrook is going to get those stats because he's done it in multiple scenarios. He averaged a triple-double for 3 seasons. He came very close for doing it on a Wizards team that had very bad talent. He was still able to get it done. And the bigger part is Russell Westbrook is a better rebounder because he wants to get the rebound. So if he wants the rebound, he's going to get it. He's done it in multiple different stops. And again, the pace. I still have yet to hear you have a valid counter argument to pace. Why is it that Russ is doing it in fewer possessions than Oscar Robertson if Oscar clears him in points, which is not true, clears him in rebounds, which is not true, and clears him in assists, which is not true? None of that is true. And that's why he wouldn't be able to do that. Russell Westbrook, when it comes down to accumulating stats, is so good at it that people look at stats differently today. After Russ did during that regular season, people value points, rebounds, and assists a lot differently because Russ was a monster at doing that routinely. A 20-20-20 game for the Vibes, rest in peace, Nipsey Hussle. That's what Russell Westbrook was able to do for you. Oscar Robertson did not do that. Russell Westbrook clears him if you make it about triple doubles. It's not close. And that's what the argument is. It's not about winning. I don't care what the argument is about that. It's about who is better at being a triple double machine. And that answer is Russell Westbrook.
John D., your last round of this topic. Let's do it.
I get that the topic is about triple doubles, which if you look at the stats, Russell Westbrook clears. He has more total triple doubles than Oscar Robertson. But in the game, I just think Oscar Robertson impacting winning has to be very important because he was more efficient and he has more win shares and more offensive win shares. Like I said, I think winning is the most important thing in basketball. And if you can average a triple double while winning, I think Oscar Robertson can clear when it comes to triple doubles because his triple doubles are more impactful than Russell Westbrook's. Russell Westbrook averaged a triple double 3 out of 4 seasons and didn't get out of the first round every time he averaged a triple double. Has yet to eclipse 50 wins while averaging a triple double. I think Oscar Robertson's triple doublers were more impactful than Russell Westbrook's because he was getting rebounds with guys like Kareem, Wilt, guys like Bill Russell. These guys were averaging 20 plus rebounds with no 3-point line. That means they were a lot shorter rebounds. Rebounds weren't going all the way out to the perimeter as much as they were in today's game. And I think Oscar Robertson, being as efficient as he was and impacting the winning that he did, having 30, 10, and 11 in year 2, and year 1, and year 3. I think stuff like that is important for Oscar Robertson.
All right, Gifted, take us away. Your last debate on this topic.
I never thought I would hear someone restate what the question is, hear for multiple rounds the topic is not about winning, acknowledge that, and then still try to make it about winning. It's not that. And if your third round's about that, you're more cooked than what you already are now. At the end of the day, who is better at getting a triple-double? That means who is better at getting the rebound? Does it matter if a center boxes out? Does it matter if you have a shooter wide open? No. Are you going to get it or are you not? And Russell Westbrook has shown more times than not, he can get that way more than Oscar. And just a fun fact, by the way, when Russ got the triple-double, he has like a 74% winning percentage. He wins more often than not when he gets that. But again, that doesn't matter because it's about getting it. Russell Westbrook, again, a 20-20-20 game, you have to have the will to get that. Getting a triple-double in just 3 quarters of basketball, you have to want to be able to get that. And Russell Westbrook has the desire to want to get that. He's also tall. He's a pretty tall and athletic point guard who can do multiple different things. And again, he's done it with James Harden. He did it with Bradley Beal. He did it with Andre Robertson, Steven Adams, and Victor Oladipo. And he still got his triple-double for 3 back-to-back years. Oscar Robertson has nothing that compares to that. That's why Russell Westbrook broke his record multiple different times. I really want to see what the rebuttal is to that.
All right, y'all. That is 3 rounds. Go ahead and put up the poll. And you guys get over there and go vote on who you believe made the better argument. You got Oscar Robertson versus Russell Westbrook. Who is the better triple-double machine? Get over there and vote. All emotions aside, who just simply made the better points and was the better debater during this topic? The polls are up. Get over there and vote. And side note, like the video. There's 300 plus people in here, and we have about 80 likes. I can see that y'all not doing your job. We doing our jobs up here, but y'all not doing your jobs. Hit that like button, and we'll keep it pushing. Become a member if you haven't, and we'll keep it pushing. And also subscribe. And that's that. Fellas, we are going to get into our third topic. Gifted, it's on you first. And this topic is an interesting one. It's who is the bigger disappointment? Zion Williamson versus Ben Simmons. Which player left more to be desired relative to their expectations? Should be a good one, y'all. But we got 20 more seconds left. Get over there and vote. Get your votes in, get your votes in, get your votes in. And while you're voting, slap that like button. I see we still got some people filing in. Welcome to the show. This is the second battle of 3 tonight. Next, we got Swipa versus Penn coming very soon. But we have one more topic for you guys to get into. The polls are wrapping up right now, and it looks like Gifted, you took 72% of the votes for the second topic. So now let's get into this. Bigger disappointment, Zion or Ben Simmons relative to expectations? Gifted is back on you first. Talk to us.
The answer has to be Zion Williamson. And the reason why is Ben Simmons was a player that could never shoot, never had the dog in him. So we always knew he wasn't really going to be shit. Zion Williamson is a player that can't shoot, but can't stop shooting at BBL porn stars. Zion Williamson, time and time again, got himself in his own way with the injuries, but also his overall restraint to stop those vices that call out to people. And because of that, we have not seen Zion fulfill his potential. We're talking about a guy that has like a top 10 hoop mixtape of all time, right? We're talking about a guy that blocked a 3-point shot from the perimeter. He jumped at it and blocked it because that's how he was athletically. Zion was a two-way guy in college, and he has not looked the same since the NBA. He just hasn't. We're talking about a guy that was literally compared to being one of one, because people said Charles Barkley, but he's more athletic. He runs up and down. Overall, Ben Simmons wasn't going to be shit regardless. So me personally, Zion is way more disappointing because even his first game, the big threes he hit when we knew he couldn't shoot, the fact that he was able to show us that and not live up to it and not be like a top 10 or top 15 player right now, it's very embarrassing. And we hope for him to get better. No one cares about Ben Simmons getting better right now.
John D, it's on you. Do what you do.
All right, so I'm going to take Ben Simmons' name out of this. What if I told you a player in his first 4 seasons was a Defensive Player of the Year runner-up, All-NBA third team member, an all-defensive team player multiple times, was Rookie of the Year, and now he's averaging 6 points per game and played 15 games last season? I think that counts as disappointing. Ben Simmons finished his rookie season third most triple doubles in that season with 12, and that's second all time behind Magic Johnson in his rookie year. He also helped the Sixers go 56-26 and get their first playoff win in 5 years. In 2017 to 2021, like again, he was 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA defensive first team. I think the disappointment that Ben Simmons brought up, because in the end of the day, Zion Williamson can be healthy and still become a star because he's showing game in and game out why he could still be a number one on a very solid playoff team. He just put up 40 on one of the better defensive players in the league in Anthony Davis. Ben Simmons plays and he shows nothing but a role player. This is a guy that was somebody that was compared to a guy like LeBron James and Magic Johnson coming in. The strength and athleticism of a power forward, but yet the athleticism and floor vision of Ben Simmons. I think Ben Simmons was the bigger disappointment.
Gifted is back on you, round 2. Let's hear it.
Look, John, I got a lot of respect for you because you're trying to make an argument you clearly don't believe. Let's be so real, bro. A lot of Ben Simmons' flaws were known about in college. When he was drafted, a lot of people said, damn, the motor, his overall desire, him not being a spacer at all. We knew these things to be true. When he had those seasons where he was gassed up to be all NBA or even all-star because players, weren't injured and he was playing in the Eastern Conference, not the West, people gassed him up. But if you actually watch basketball just a little bit, and if you watch Ben Simmons, you can tell what his flaws were right away. The first time they lost to Boston in the playoffs, you knew what time it was with Ben Simmons. Zion is a player that we've never even gotten to that point, but he showed us time and time again he can dominate at all levels, at a high level. Zion can pass the ball. Zion can dunk. What Zion cannot do is stay on the floor, whether it's injuries or, again, the BBO Explore page. Zion stays doing things that doesn't get him to where he could be. Zion is a better talent than Ben Simmons. Let's be so honest. Even if you want to say, well, hypothetically, if Ben Simmons could be X, Y, or Z, do that same shit for Zion, and what would he be? We're talking about the same player that was blocking threes in college, one of the best college seasons ever that we've ever seen in terms of efficiency and also block rate and rebound rate. We're talking about that guy who had the perfect build coming into the NBA as an overall disappointment for those expectations. Ben Simmons was never going to be like that. Watch basketball.
John D, round 3.
The success that Ben Simmons had in his first 3 seasons, I don't think that anybody would look at his game and be like, oh, yeah, he's not going to be nothing. After having 3 all-star appearances, after being a defensive player of the year runner-up, after being multiple all-defensive first team nominees. I think Ben Simmons was well on his way to being a superstar. The defense, the athleticism, the playmaking, the switchability, the versatility. Ben Simmons was on his way to be a superstar. You don't get compared to Magic Johnson or LeBron James for no reason. I mean, when we saw him in high school and in college, he was getting those type of comparisons, and we're supposed to just look at them and be like, oh, no, he's not going to be that. While Zion Williamson, he's still showing that he could be a superstar player. He has never had the playoff success yet. He hasn't shown himself in the playoffs. Everybody was asking, can Zion Williamson be effective in the playoffs? In his first playoff game, he put 40 up against the Lakers and Anthony Davis, 40 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. This year, he averaged 23 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting 57% from the field. And while he was healthy, the Pelicans were a for sure playoff team in the Western Conference. Ben Simmons, healthy this season, is averaging 6 points after having that star-studded early start to his career. I think Ben Simmons is the bigger disappointment because he still cannot get back to what he used to be in his early 76ers days. I do not think Ben Simmons has a chance to get back to that, and he was showing that he could be a top player in this league.
All right, Gifted, it's round 3 for you. Take us away.
He talked about what Ben Simmons used to be on the Sixers. Are you talking about the most dangerous triple single? No. Ben Simmons was never like that. Again, what people have to remember is, was Ben Simmons ever the best player on the Sixers? No, it was Joel Embiid. And ironically, we saw it play out because guess what they did? They said, well, let's build a team around Ben Simmons. They got Al Horford specifically for Ben Simmons, not for Joel Embiid, but for Ben Simmons because he can't fucking shoot. So because Ben Simmons can't shoot, he can't do other things. He wants to pass the ball. He has a high true shooting because all he does is literally run and dunk. They say that Giannis is running dunk. Ben Simmons is for sure running dunk. Because of that, they tried to build a team around him. It never panned out because, again, a lot of his flaws in terms of wanting to be a hooper, wanting to play basketball, were clear from his days at LSU. Zion Williamson had the motor, had the grit. He was running up and down the floor on defense and offense in college. His strength was translating from high school to the college level. And the fact that you keep bringing up him having 40 on the Lakers, Zion was capable of that. We all knew that. But him showing us that he can be one of one, the guy that they don't have a clear comparison for. You can't compare him to Magic. You can't compare him to LeBron because he's just built differently than a lot of these players. This guy's 285 at 6'4", 6'5", running up and down the floor, dominating defenses. So because of that, it's like we want to see more from him. I promise you, no one want to see Ben Simmons not take a layup on Trae Young. I don't want to see that shit. If y'all do, congrats.
Let's run the polls. Y'all get over to the polls and go vote.
Was that 2 rounds?
That was only 2?
Yeah.
Let's run the third. Gifted was
that only 2 rounds?
I forget.
Who cares?
Chat, was that 2 or was it 3? I'm almost positive it was 3. Yeah, it was 3 rounds. Let's run the polls. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. All right. Make sure you guys get over here and vote. You know the drill. Like the video while you're doing that, and subscribe as well. We had the bigger disappointment relative to their expectations. Zion Williamson or Ben Simmons. Vote, 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 vote. And while you guys are doing that, we're getting ready for our next round. We got 2 heavyweights coming up next. Y'all know them. Y'all have seen their faces on the panel multiple times. You've seen them during the first 2 weeks of this PCL. But we have Swipa versus Penn. I'm excited to see this matchup. Do you guys have predictions for this matchup? John?
I think it's going to be a great matchup, but I think Swipa has it.
Wait, it's Penn versus who again?
Swipa.
Oh, so that's Vorp versus Vorp. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a great round, though.
I think Swipa might eat crackers, so I might have to go with Swipa. We'll see.
Okay. While you guys are voting, we got 20 more seconds left to go. Get over there and vote. Let me talk a little bit about next week. John D, you will be going against Swipa next week. And Gifted, you will be going up against Penn next week. So it's actually pretty ironic that you guys are battling before them because you will be battling them next week. The time is up right now, and it looks like, John D, you took 77% of the votes for the third round. So congratulations for winning that round. Once again, remember the live vote is not the end all be all. You guys go and vote on the polls or in the comment section once this video is done with. I appreciate everybody.
I know that we got to bounce, but Ron, I find it so hilarious that you wanted me to take. Hey, man, good overall debate.
Yeah. Once again, I studied hours for Joel Embiid, and yeah, we next week I'm just gonna text Swipe and be like, okay, these are my topics, these are yours. But I truly don't believe that Oscar Robertson debate was able to be won. I tried my best in the end of the day, but it is.
All right, debate was hard.
Yeah, that's the one. I was like,
appreciate y'all for doing what y'all do. We did start late, so we got to get on to the next battle. But appreciate y'all, and we will see you guys back again next week. Thanks for coming through. We will be back for Penn versus Swipa, the third debate of the day. We'll see you guys here in a second. Got a quick intermission. Let's get to it, y'all. We got the third debate of the day. This is week 3 of the PCL. If you haven't watched any of the prior weeks or the Wednesday edition of PCL, make sure you go back and watch those battles. Make sure you go and vote on those debates. All you have to do is comment and say, hey, I'm taking this person in this many rounds, this, that, and the third. But just comment and let us know how you guys feel on each and every one of those debates. But with no further ado, let's get into it. I got Swipa and I got Penn. And these two are set to have one of the most highly anticipated battles yet in this PCL. Fellas, I'm ready for y'all to rock and roll. Any questions ahead of time?
No, best of luck to you, Penn. I haven't had a lot of time to study. We're here learning some salsa moves for today, bro. So, you know what I mean? Shout out to you, bro.
Oh, you put Penn on the back burner. He wasn't even a high priority in your life.
No, he in the back burner. He's the top priority. He's Alabama, man. I'm Texas State. I'm just trying to stay on the field.
I appreciate it. I prepped for about 25 minutes here, so hopefully it goes well. Hopefully, give the people what they want.
Okay, Penn, you've been pretty active this week. I've seen you had a couple of debates and whatnot.
Bro,
So I think you should be ready for this.
We've both been pretty active this
that
week.
is true.
It's been controversial.
Yeah, just
sure.
different platforms. Swipa on Twitter, you on Oxford. Hey, it's been a hell of a week, but
Shout
now
out
we
to
got
Oxford.
you guys both up here in the same room. So let's do it. Let's go ahead and put up the timer. Let's get to round 1. The first topic of the day that we have for you two is Luka versus Jokic. Who's more important and productive for their teams offensively? Swipa, my friend, you are going first, and your time will start when you start.
Yeah, well, first of all, just disclaimer, I know certain people don't like me talking about Jokic too much on the platform on the internet, but just going to spend some time doing that. I think Jokic has made the clear argument that in terms of offensive players, there's just nobody more valuable in the NBA. Even if you look at the last 4 seasons that he's been on this MVP run, finals MVP run, they've had the best offense basically relative to the rest of the league when he's been on the court for most of these years. Every single year, Jokic has outperformed Luka in terms of the net rating, how good the team is offensively when he's on the court relative to Luka. And I think, some of this is also just the way the positions are laid out. Because Jokic is a center, he has access to a bevy of things that Luka just doesn't, by the nature of how tall he is, how big he is, being a DHO screener, being a screener on a pick and roll, on the pop. And again, everybody remembers the 2023 NBA playoffs finals run, 30, 13, and 10, 63 true shooting, 44% from 3, shot over 60% from 2 over the course of that run, and 80% from the free throw line. Jokic literally has everything in his package. His jump shot can come and go a little bit, but I think that's the thing. When you're a center at 7 feet tall, you just have the ability to affect the game from the inside out in ways that a guard or wing cannot. And to this day, there's no player that's been considered the passer in the league that Jokic is, because, again, it doesn't matter. You cannot double team him, even though he's one of the best, if not the best scorer in the league, because he's going to find you off ball, corner, cutter, slasher, any way you want. So Jokic, clearly the better offensive player.
Jokic is clearly the better offensive player, Swipa says. Penn, I think you got this, man. Hey, I expect you to wash Swipa right now. So go ahead and do your thing. Round 1, topic 1. Talk to us.
Okay. Have you ever wondered how a country of 6.6 million people has produced the greatest tennis player of all time? You ever wonder how that same country produced a 3-time MVP and the best player in the NBA today? You ever wonder why those late 80s, early 90s Yugoslavian teams were so damn dominant that they had to damn near bomb the entire country to stop them from taking over the world? It's because basketball in Serbia is not clickbait. It's not content. It's not entertainment. It's a religion. So when the Serbian national team goes out, when Jokic and all these guys, they go out and they put their blood, guts, and glory on the line against the refs, against the world, against all odds, and they go and win a bronze, they didn't do that for Swipa. They did that for me. They did that for us. And they didn't do that so that I can come on here and talk about how Luka's better than Jokic for a little bit of money. That's crazy to me. Nikola Jokic grew up in a town that is 300 kilometers south of where my family is from. Basketball is serious to us We don't fuck around with religion. So I'm going to teach Swipa the lesson that Kevin Durant's been trying to teach you about national pride and standing on business. My only hope, Swipa, is that you can do a better job of defending the greatest Serbian player in world history than I could have. Go ahead.
Swipa, it's on you. Round 2. Your time starts when you do, Swipa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I appreciate the sentiment. Is there? I don't know if there's background noise anybody else is hearing. But yeah, I definitely appreciate the sentiment. I definitely appreciate the fact that you're recognizing that Joker's a better offensive player. Yeah, I just think it's not that Luka is bad offensively or much worse or anything like that. But again, I just think a guard. Now, Luka is a better on-ball creator than Joker, and I think that's why that's such an important conversation. I mean, we saw James Harden bending the NBA for about 10 straight years because of the fact that he can score off the dribble. He can beat you as a pull-up shooter, beat you at the spot-up shooter. Luka's very similar to that. Luka's also one of the best post guards in the league. But Jokic literally, you know, as JJ Redick has talked about multiple times on First Take, he's literally the most efficient post-up player that we've had since we started tracking points per possession. Like there's nobody else that's been like him, and also on the volume. And again, I think it also says something that when you have a center that has a 41, 42, 44 assist percentage in the middle of your defense, it literally makes it to where it's impossible to deal with them on a consistent basis when he's surrounded by shooters. And again, that's why they went when they had everybody available. And Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon and KCP and Bruce Brown and Jeff Green and Christian Brown were healthy. They waltzed through the NBA. Because even if the Suns and even if Luka or other guards are able to really produce at a very high level offensively, the sustainability of the fact that Joker has a 65% advantage in that area between 3 to 6 feet because of a hook shot, because of the push shot. He has the most deadly floater in the NBA. So if you have a player you can't double and also can make a basket almost 70% of the time, yeah, it just makes him indomitable.
Penn, it's back on you to argue what you are supposed to argue.
Okay. Go. No, we could take this moment to just let the silence run. It's cool. It's absolutely amazing. Yo, man, bro, you don't get this many great athletes coming out of a country of 6.6 million without some serious national pride. I'm gonna tell you something. I'll take this moment to just talk about this for a second. That I remember through most of the 90s, there was a lot of stuff that went on in Serbia. It's a lot of hard times for a lot of people. People were on the streets, couldn't get bread. Schools were getting bombed and all that stuff, right? So what I'm trying to say is all these athletes, they grew up trying to show the world, this is us. This is where we come from, and erasing all of that damage, right? So when all these athletes go on this world stage, when they go and become scientists, doctors, CEOs, you know, basketball superstars, that's what they're doing. They're letting you know where they come from, and that's pride. That's national pride. Now, I'm never gonna go against Swipa because he covers one of my favorite players of all time. That's been one of my biggest agendas as a basketball analyst. Is always going to be to elevate Jokic. I want Jokic to be seen as more than a stat stuffer.
That is the time, Penn. Woo! You was cooking right there. Swipa, round 3, baby. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, you know, I just want to take this time to congratulate Serbia on a hard-fought match versus the U.S. and then obviously winning the bronze. This will be Serbia's. They didn't get a chance to do this obviously in 21, but in 16 they got the silver medal. And I think a fun story from that, the reason that Bogey was doing the Melo sign at Melo so consistently was one because of 2016, but also Carmelo's been one of Bogey's favorite players for the last several years. So I think a lot of people got lost on that. Like, you know, the U.S. is the gold standard. LeBron, Melo, Durant, Steph, they raised a generation of players everybody kind of idolizes. So definitely shout out Serbia for getting that bronze. I think that basketball is headed towards a real new era. Ron, we've had this discussion multiple times on the panel. Has the world caught up to the USA? And 1000%. I just am looking at basketball as a whole and just like, look, man, like Serbia was about 6 minutes from closing out USA game. And then you even had France putting on a matchup, but they would have had a better wing play from a couple of their players. As Wemby could have been better in spots. If their guards were better, or Frank would have been a little bit better. But they had some dudes that were really putting pressure on them consistently. So I'm excited for the future. I think Jokic is obviously the best player of this era. And I think Wemby is up next to be the best in the world. And, we might be 3 or 4 years away from that, Penn. I'm not sure how far away you are for that, but it's just a crazy place we're in the league and right now where international is dominating like it is.
Swipa, that's the end of your round 3. Penn, put this dude in the casket. Finish it off. Your final debate. Talk to us.
Yeah, I want to just shout out Luka Doncic. And, Luka's dad is Serbian. And I'm just going to be real. Like, I think Luka's a phenomenal player. I've been following him since the EuroLeague. I think what he's done so far in the NBA has been nothing short of legendary. He's so young to be this poised and this good. And, he's got an elite second option now in Kyrie Irving. It's vibing. It's good. He's growing up. Hopefully he can come back in better shape and really show the league what's business. He's one of the most dynamic offensive players I think I've seen in my lifetime. He's got a long way to go defensively. He's got a long way to go. And, last year, congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks and, representing the West the way that they did. I think that there's a true thing in basketball where you can never play the season you didn't prepare for, right? I don't know if the Mavericks expected to get to the finals, but I hope they expect to get to the finals every year going forward with this core that they have with Derek Lively and all these guys. So, respect Luka as a passer, respect Luka as a scorer, respect him as, a heliocentric hub who does so much for his team. Hopefully he can get there with the conditioning and the defense and, good luck to the Dallas Mavericks. Shout outs to all the, Dallas Mavericks fans out there. And, again, no disrespect to Luka. Love Luka very much, but I'm not going to, I don't think you could pay a Serb $5,000 to do this. Yeah.
Whoo! That was gas, y'all. Hey, that was gas. Put up the polls, run the time, and I'm not supposed to do this, but I just got to say this. Penn, you cooked his ass that round.
Bro,
I mean,
can we be fair for real? We both picked Jokic. We both picked Jokic. We both picked Jokic. I picked him 8 minutes after you gave us the topic. But last night, Ron told me I can't have Jokic. So I told him what I'll tell all of you. You couldn't pay me $5,000 to do it. I'm not going to do it. So
this is news to me. I had no idea that this was a thing for Penn, Ron. I truly did not know that this was the thing. That you were Serbian as well. Had no idea until I saw your name. No, I'm not going to expose you at all. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, now it makes sense for sure. So
okay,
I got it. I'm
all right.
in.
Well, we have 40 more seconds to go vote, so you guys be sure to go do that. Vote on the live vote. Also, make sure that you vote on the comments after the video. I don't know about you guys. I enjoyed that first round. I thought that was very entertaining.
I mean, apparently it's a third of the population thinks Penn won. So obviously, people enjoyed it.
I think those are just Luka fans. I think this lets you know where the chat's at. No, I mean, it's a good thing that you're covering really like one of the best European players, if not the best European player of all time, at least in the NBA. So he's fantastic, and it's a fun brand of basketball. I'm glad that it's catching on in the NBA.
Well, Swipovich, it's looking like you are going to take round 1 with 66% of the vote. So shout out to you for coming and doing what you do best in that first topic. The next topic that we have for you guys is Tony Parker versus Kyrie Irving. Who is the better sidekick? Swipa, you went first. So Penn, on this topic, you're going to go first, my friend. Your time will start whenever you do.
Okay. Now I can cook. All right. So Tony Parker gets a lot of love for his finals MVP. I want to let y'all know who these two players were in the finals games they did play. Kyrie Irving in 18 finals games, 25 points, 4.4 assists, 3.8 rebounds. Tony Parker in 29 finals games, 16 points, 4 assists, 2.4 rebounds. In the 2016 finals against a 73-win team, the Golden State Warriors, Kyrie Irving put up 27 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 47% shooting, over 40% from 3, 94% from the line. What are we talking about here? So Kyrie Irving did more. Now, who did Tony Parker face? This is a little trivia for the chat. Who did Tony Parker face when he won that Finals MVP? He faced LeBron James, Boobie Gibson, and the hapless Cavs. Bron before he was ready. Bron before he became the Bron that we saw during the Olympics. He wasn't ready, and they cooked him in 4 games. So what I'm trying to tell you is that Tony Parker's biggest career achievement, apart from the 4 rings that he won as not the second option in San Antonio, was that he won a Finals MVP. It's literally all French fans can talk about. And I'm trying to tell you that Kyrie Irving did more against a much better team. And oh, by the way, he hit possibly the biggest or second biggest shot in NBA Finals history to give the Cavs their first title ever. Respect Kyrie Irving, man.
Swipa, round 2 or round 1. It's on you.
Yeah, I think that the way that you describe Tony Parker is very interesting. And I think if you're talking about a better overall sidekick, I don't really think there's much of a debate. And the reason is do you realize how healthy and how available Tony Parker was? Like, for 11 of his first 13 seasons, he played over 68 games over the course of that run, including 4 top 10 MVP finishes. So even if you're just going, because you just did NBA Finals, you're going across the regular season. Tony was one of the best creators in the NBA. He was one of the most consistent players in the NBA. He was one of the best transition players. So a lot of people talk about Tyrese Maxey. Well, who's the person they liken him to? Is Tony Parker. When it came to the playoffs multiple times, including by the time he got to a second year, he was able to elevate his game in meaningful ways and able to have really great performances. And so you bring up that sweep that they had in 2007 versus that team. But you also fail to forget he averaged 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists in that series. So he shot 57% from 3 on very limited volume, but he shot 57% from the field. And a lot of that was because they just didn't have an answer for him. So regardless of the competition, he was always able to perform at a high level. And again, including for 2012 and 2013 versus those Heat teams, it was Tony Parker, the one putting the team on his back to get those game-winning baskets. It was Tony Parker getting them going into half-court offense. That way they could set up Tim Duncan and Kawhi and them. Tony was the engine of that team offensively, and he was also a decent to average to good defender at times, depending on the context. Across the board, regular season to the playoffs, Tony cleared.
Back to you, Penn. Take us away.
Cleared is wild, but let me make another point. He's not the second option in San Antonio. Who was the second best player in San Antonio through their championships? Let's ask Basketball Reference. Manu Ginobili had a 47.8 value of replacement in 1,057 games. Parker played 197 more games and had a VORP just 30. Shout outs to VORP. Okay. Box Plus Minus says Ginobili had a career box plus minus of 5. You know who else had a career box plus minus of 5? Exactly. Dwayne Wade. So per 100 possessions, Manu scored more points, had more rebounds, more steals, got 5% better from 3, had a higher true shooting percentage by 4. He just played fewer games and he didn't start. But why didn't he start? He started a bit, but why didn't he start through most of his career? So it was so that he could carry those second units, but he damn well closed. And we know that. I cannot believe that we are arguing that Kyrie Irving, one of the greatest sidekicks of all time, really has been to multiple finals now as a number 2 option to arguably both guys who are top 5 players in the NBA. I can't believe we're arguing that he is a worse sidekick than a guy who at best was the 3rd best player on his team during those finals runs. And I will get to the numbers in round 3, but I just want to let you know that 2014 finals where they beat the Heat, I don't even think he was a top 3 player on his team because Kawhi cleared him too.
All right, Swipa, it's back to you. Your time will start whenever you want it.
Yeah, again, I think if you're just going to talk like net rating and VORP and BPM and PER, we ain't trying to hear all that in a basketball debate. Who was just the overall better player when it mattered, and how consistent was that player? Because again, when you're asking like at their peak who was better, you might have an argument, but the question is who was the better sidekick? meaning who was the better complementary player to Tim Duncan, complementary player to Manu Ginobili, complementary player to Kawhi Leonard later on in his career. It was Tony Parker because Tony was the one you knew you could rely on. In those playoffs versus those Lakers, for instance, when everybody remembers that Tim Duncan shot, Tony had made play after play versus those teams in those NBA Finals games. When the moment got toughest, he was able to respond versus Chauncey Billups, able to respond versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, able to respond versus Dwayne Wade multiple times. And so even when you're talking about as a pick and roll ball handler, again, he was consistently allowing and helping for Tim Duncan to be able to do what he did and finding the shooters on that roster, finding Danny Green and others. And again, he just had the ability to make sure that every single time they needed to get into a good set offensively, he was able to do it. But also, he wasn't a distraction off the court, because we're talking about sidekick, meaning who was there, who was available. There were things that affected the game that didn't allow for Kyrie Irving to be as available because of injuries and because of other things that had nothing to do with hoops, because you're talking about somebody helping and assisting as a sidekick, the number one option. So Tony, again, across the board, he was just better.
You got it, Pen.
I'm thinking if I should go stats or if I should go hoops, because stats, you're right, it's no contest. It is literally no contest. 500 fewer games, and he's pretty much cleared his entire career already. So if Kyrie Irving retires right now, in his prime, he would have had a better career. No questions asked. But let's talk straight hoops, okay? Who's the better player? Are we kidding here? We're talking about we're talking about the bigger player. We're talking about the better player. We're talking about the better ball handler, the better finisher, the better shooter, he's everything. He's a better passer. He's a better defender. He has more stocks on his career. I can't believe we're having this conversation. Honestly, this is a travesty. In Kyrie Irving, we are talking about possibly one of the most, if not the most skilled point guard of all time. Now, I love that you're bringing up all the off-court stuff. You keep alluding to it, consistency and, not a distraction and all that stuff. What is Kyrie's big charge? That he thinks the earth is flat? What does that have to do with basketball? Bro, when we're talking straight hoops, when this guy's on a court, he gives him business head to head in their matchups across, I think, 18 games. Kyrie had 22 points per game on him. He put up 27 points against the greatest regular season team in the finals. Kyrie Irving is the better player. He's the better sidekick. He's the better first option, second option, third option. I don't care what you say.
Swipa round 3. Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, again, Penn, shout out to you. We're definitely friends on this platform, but for you to say that Kyrie Irving is a better passer than Tony Parker just shows you just haven't watched a lot of Tony Parker. Again, Tony Parker, in terms of finding that pocket pass, swinging out to the corner, being the connected passer. I mean, I've really honestly just never heard Kyrie Irving talked about that. He's a decent passer. He's a good passer, but Tony was one of the best, literally one of the best of his era. And then if you're bringing up like the stats and information, like you're wanting to downplay how good he was versus the teams because you just feel like the competition wasn't good enough. But again, the fact of the matter is he was giving D Wade issues. He was giving LeBron James issues. I mean, one of the most hallmark moments everybody remembers from game 1 of the NBA Finals is him falling down on the ground and doing an up and under over LeBron James on the right wing to get the go-ahead bucket. Like, Tony had moments on moments in the NBA Finals, and he also had really good numbers throughout the playoffs, especially over the course of his prime. And even in 2014, when they did win the NBA Finals, like he averaged 18 and 5 and shot 42 from the field. And so again, when you have a player who's not somebody that was taken advantage of defensively consistently because he tried hard, he worked around screen, he knew that he had physical limitations about him, but he still allowed for himself to commit on the defensive end consistently. And you're bringing up Kyrie Irving. We just saw Kyrie Irving bottom out in the NBA Finals and couldn't help Luka Doncic at all fully healthy. And you can look if you want, but Kyrie was garbage in that Finals.
Put up the time. Run the polls. You guys get over there and vote. Don't vote based on emotion. Don't vote based on what you like or who you like or who you think is better. Vote based on who made the more compelling argument. This is the topic 2 of 3, and we need you guys to settle this topic right now in this debate. Get over to the live poll. It is running right now. It is up, and you guys have about a minute left to go ahead and turn in them votes. Shout out to these two gentlemen up here doing what they do best, debating hoops.
Penn, you think Kyrie was good this last NBA Finals we just watched?
I think he was better than what you're giving him credit for. I mean, bro, like
respect, bro.
Who was he facing? Let's be
What do you
real.
mean, who was he facing?
He was facing the Celtics.
Fellas, I gotta step in and I gotta tell y'all to stop, only because the votes are very close and I can't have you guys swaying the votes. It's all good. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe, and become a member. If you're worried about what membership tier you should join, be like Kyrie and Tony Parker and just be a Hall of Famer. Simple as that. We have a third topic at hand, and we're about to get into it. This one should be interesting. It should be very interesting, and I think you guys will like this one. We have an all-time Nuggets team, which Swipa would take, versus an all-time Toronto Raptors team, which Penn would take. These guys will get a starting 5 and 2 bench players for players that played for both of these franchises, and it's just to make it interesting, it's players at their peak. So, Swipa, you went first. Penn, you went second last round. Swipa, you will go first this round. And, oh, by the way, for round 2, it looks like Swipa took 51% of the votes to win round 2 on the live vote. But remember, it isn't the end-all be-all. Make sure you get your votes in after this video. The live vote isn't everything that counts. Just comment if you think the Swipa 1-2-1. Comment on that. If you think Penn swept Swipa, damn, that's a tongue twister. Penn swept Swipa, you go vote that Penn swept Swipa, and that will go towards Penn's votes. All votes matter because at the end of the regular season, we will tally them up, and that will determine seeding for the playoffs. But let's go ahead and get into it. Round 3, or topic 3, round 1. Swipa, it's on you. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. All right, so all-time team. So we have 5 starters and we have 2 bench players coming off the bench. So my all-time team for the Denver Nuggets is going to be Chauncey Billups, Addicts Apex, around that 09-10 year when they had him and they went to the Western Conference Finals, and then he was the best player, including with the team with Carmelo Anthony and Kenyon Martin and them, best player on that roster from round 1 to the LA Lakers series. And then I'm getting David Thompson at the 2 guard. He was one of the best scorers of his era. He was one of the best vertical spacers of his era, was a positive defender, positive shooter, especially a mid-range shooter. And I'm taking Alex English at the small forward position. He literally led the entire 1980s in scoring, a 6'8" forward. For 1981 to 1989, he averaged 27, 6, and 5 on 51% from the field and 84% from the free throw line. And again, in an era dominated by a bunch of stars, he was the best scorer. I got Bobby Jones at power forward. He was literally one of the best defenders ever of all time. Bobby Jones is one of those dudes that he doesn't get enough credit because he played in the ABA and then he played with the Nuggets early on for a little bit, and then he won a championship in '83. But Bobby Jones might have been the best defender for those first few years that the Nuggets had joined the NBA. And then obviously at center, I got Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is the best player in the league. He's a 3-time MVP, Finals MVP. And then on the bench, I'm going to bring Fat Lever, one of the best two-way guards of his era. And then I got Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench as well. And everybody knows who that is. That's what I got.
There you go. Penn, let's hear it. All-time Raptors team. Talk to us.
It is clear to me from listening to your list, Swipa, that you did not pay attention to the rules. It is all-time at their peak, which means you could have had Allen Iverson, my friend, and you didn't take him. You could have had 01 Allen Iverson. So I'm going to give you my all-time Toronto Raptors team. Starting at point guard, 6'8", Tracy McGrady. 02-03, Tracy McGrady. 32 points per game, Tracy McGrady. I'm going to give you my starting shooting guard. 2000-2001, Vince Carter. He's about to jump over your whole damn team because you didn't even draft Dikembe Mutombo. You crazy? No McDice, you need size to deal with this because he's going to jump over everybody. Okay? This guy led the entire league in value of a replacement in 2000-2001. This is the backcourt that Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal said that had they stayed together, they would have been in the finals the next year. But they split apart. Not this time. At my small forward. Oh, if those are the 2 worst defenders on my team, by the way, and they're not bad defenders. At small forward, I got 16-17 Kawhi Leonard right before Zaza Pachulia stepped under his foot. At power forward, I got 92-93 Hakeem Olajuwon. This is going to be a tough team to score on. even with Alex English, Carmelo Anthony, and Nikola Jokic. At center, I got 2012, 2013 Marc Gasol. And lining up my bench, I got 16, 17 Kyle Lowry and 14, 15 Chris Bosh. Eat it.
Ron, who's at the power forward again?
The dream.
Hakeem.
Okay. Oh no, my bad. I just didn't hear it, man. Ron, yeah. So basically, no spacing is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing Hakeem and I'm hearing Marc Gasol, and I'm cool. Like I guess Marc Gasol, like a decent 3-point shooter, but counting for no volume whatsoever. I think if you're going to tell me that you're going to have Jokic and Alex English, Jokic is in the conversation for GOAT offensive player ever. And so if you're putting Hakeem on him or Marc Gasol on him, then okay, cool. Whatever. Then I'm going to put Carmelo Anthony in at that 4 spot. I'm going to let Hakeem have to go drift out and cover that 4. And then we're running pick and rolls with Chauncey Billups. We're running pick and roll with Jokic. And then I got Alex English on the wing. I got Carmelo on the wing. And I got David Thompson on the wings as well. So, I mean, literally like you're cooked. Offensively, we can do whatever we want, get in any action that we're looking for. I think when you're talking about defenders, Hakeem obviously is a GOAT level defender, one of the best ever. I'm putting T-Mac and Vince Carter on islands consistently. I'm getting them switched on consistently. And if you think that Alex English, again, at his apex, who was giving Jordan, who was giving Magic, who was giving every Moncrief, any guard you could think about of that era, Alex English was giving them work. And again, best scorer of the 80s. He's given work to Vince and T-Mac consistently. And then Kyle Lowry, respect to you, Kyle Lowry is not Fat Lever. Fat Lever literally was he was like the first inception of Russell Westbrook. He was a very good scorer, very good passer, very good rebounder, and also a very good defender on that roster all the way around. And so if I got Fat Lever and I got Chauncey Billups as my guard rotation with David Thompson, I mean, with Jokic, it's over. It's wraps.
Go ahead, Penn. It's back on you.
This is my second one. This is number 2, yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Did you hear the roster that I said? Where'd you get no spacing from? I got a big who can shoot better than your big in Marc Gasol. I got Hakeem Olajuwon, who, yeah, he wasn't shooting threes back then, but the man had some range. He's not a non-shooter. I didn't put Shaq in there. I put Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. And I love that you said Jokic is one of the greatest offensive players, if not the greatest offensive player of all time. But bro, the Defensive Player of the Year trophy is named after my guy. These guys are Finals MVPs. Now, I don't think you understand if you're talking about spacing. I think you missed the boat, Swipa, because I don't think your team is going to put up 40 points against this team. I don't care who you have on your team. You could have 4 Fat Levers, 3 Carmelo Anthonys. You could play 6-on-5. I don't think you're going to score on this team. Hakeem Olajuwon and Kawhi Leonard, Tracy McGrady. Do you understand the length of that team? And I got Marc Gasol back there. Now, I know that you said we lack spacing, so I had to check. The Chris Bosh that I referenced averaged 31 points per 100 possessions and shot 38% from 3. You might remember him in the NBA Finals splashing threes all over, right? Kyle Lowry's a 38% three-point shooter. Vince Carter's a hell of a shooter. One of the greatest three-point shooters in volume of all time. What are we talking about here? Tracy McGrady wasn't a bad shooter. I'm not saying he's a great shooter. He's not Steph Curry. He's a good shooter. I put him up there with Carmelo Anthony as a shooter. Kawhi Leonard's a hell of a shooter. Where'd this no shooting charge come from, Swiper? Please explain. Let the people know.
Round 3, Swiper. Let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing Hakeem Olajuwon in the starting lineup at the 4 spot. And so, yeah, you put him next to Marc Gasol, then, yeah, you're going to be in limited spacing, even if nobody's going to guard him out there on the other end. But then also, too, like, so Marc Gasol playing high key, cool, Then Bobby Jones, I'm going to let him take care of the business. Bobby Jones, one of the best defenders literally of his generation. Might not be able to guard Hakeem, but if you're telling me he can give somebody some work, then 1,000%. And again, it don't matter who it is. If you're telling me that Yoke has offensive leaning players around him and floor spacing around him with Alex English, Carmelo, with David Thompson, with Fat, with players like Chauncey Billups, again, offensively, they're going to do whatever they want. As you know, as soon as they put somebody in DHO, because Chauncey Billups was one of the best mid-range shooters and three-point shooters in the league for years. And on top of that, because he's a 6'4" combo two-way guard, his literal name is Mr. Big Shot. And if you put him in a situation where you're getting into a series and you need a late shot from a guard, he's even better at it than Jamal Murray is right now. And we've seen what Jamal Murray has done over the course of his playoff career. And you're telling me again, David Thompson, you're talking about vertical spacing and jumping over people. Literally, his name was Skywalker. He was Vince Carter before Vince Carter became a thing. Do you know who Michael Jordan looked up to and got an autograph from? It was David Thompson, because that's who he was. That's the kind of player that he was. And he, on top of that, was an all-NBA level player. So again, Alex English, Fat Lever, David Thompson, Chauncey Billups, I'm doing whatever I want at that guard spot. And again, you're saying you got Kawhi. Well, again, I got Alex English, and Alex English is also a better player than Kawhi Leonard. So, let's get it.
Round 3, Penn, your last case of the day. Go ahead and make it.
I know you didn't just straight cap and say Alex English is better than Kawhi Leonard. I don't think Alex English himself would tell you that. He was a coach. He was an assistant coach for the Toronto Raptors. I think he would have lost his lunch if he heard you say that. That's crazy. I'm going to take a time to victory lap. I don't care if the chat votes me on an L on this. I'm going to tell you who I left off my list, just to give you an idea of the depths and insanity of this team. I left my favorite player in the NBA, Scotty Barnes, off this list. I left two-time All-NBA Pascal Siakam off this list. I left one of the leading scorers in NBA history in DeMar DeRozan off this list. I left the guy that you left off the list too, in Marcus Camby. I left Rod freaking Strickland. I grew up watching that guy, trying to model my game after him. I left him off the list. He was 13th in MVP voting in 1999. Honorable mentions: Jalen Rose, OG Anunoby, Danielle Marshall, Serge Ibaka, Danny Green, Doug Christie, Emmanuel Quickley, Fred VanVleet. I'm not kidding. I really don't think that your team will score 40 points. If we play this by FIBA rules, physicality, I don't think you crack 10 points. This is the greatest defensive team that has ever been assembled. If you got all these players in their prime, you would run the gauntlet over the NBA for 50 years. There is absolutely nothing that compares to this other than maybe an all-time Lakers team or an all-time Celtics team or something like that. And even then, Hakeem plus Kawhi Leonard, plus the scoring backcourt of Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady, the dynamicism, the incredible point guard play of Kyle Lowry, you don't compare.
All right. Let's run the polls. Let's run the time. This was the last topic of the day. So, fellas, let's see how the fans feel about this. Once again, don't be biased. Don't be emotional.
Who said Stoudemire?
Take your fan hat off and go vote on who you believe made the better points and who essentially built the better team. The polls are up. Go ahead, vote, like, become a member, and subscribe. Fellas, this was a good matchup today, right?
Mid today.
Yeah,
it was mid. I think when Penn threw the first round, kind of turned the people off a little bit.
Yeah, I was hoping that you would leave that for the end, but I'm just being honest. Like I'm not like, I know that for a lot of people they would never understand that, but it's a really big deal to come from a really small country, and I feel like whenever you're on any stage, you're always representing your people, always. Like to the point where I remember being on a plane once in 96, 97, and people were like, "Oh, you're from that country that's always on CNN." And like literally 10 years later, I was on a plane and this woman's like, "Oh, like Jokic." You know what I mean? Like when you're a small country, you're represented by so few people that we all have to be really careful about it.
All right, the poll is up. You guys have a few more seconds to get over there and vote. Hurry up and get over there and make your vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it looks like Penn, you took round 3, well, topic 3, with 59% of the vote. So salute to you. Once again, you guys get over there and comment after this video is down and it's not live, and let us know who won each topic or each debate for all of these guys that voted today, or that battle today. Salute to all of you guys. You guys got anything left to say on the way out?
Yeah, I apologize to the chat if y'all were upset about it. It wasn't personal. It's just, as I said, I told Ron yesterday, you cannot pay me to debate against Jokic. Now, I understand some people saying I just debated against Jokic. No, I didn't. I debated Raptors versus Nuggets. It's not a 1v1 thing.
Swipa?
No, yeah, fine. I'll take 2-1. It's all good. As long as we walk out with a dub, we lit. Be moving.
All right, y'all. We will be back on the panel tomorrow morning. Be sure to pull up, and we'll catch you guys then. In the meantime, be easy.
Peace.